When a Marine is betrayed, expect a lot of violence. This time, I will tell you how I will destroy this fool's life with military precision, and how he will run up waving a bat, which is really stupid of him. How my wife will beg for forgiveness, then blackmail, extort, and even try to frame me, but will be left with nothing. By the way, the fool's wife is also on my side, and she really wants to see him suffer.
It started with shrimp cocktail and a watered-down gin and tonic. Corporate party. One of those Friday night deals. Cheap hotel ballroom, dim lighting, DJ that peaked in the late 90s. Everyone from the office was there. The place reeked of desperation and off-brand perfume. I was on my third drink when I noticed the beginning of the end. My wife, Carrie, laughing a little too hard at some guy's joke. You know the laugh. The "I'm considering doing something reckless" kind. And the guy? Of course he was successful. Real smooth type. Wore cologne that smelled like imported betrayal and had veneers so bright they probably had their own LinkedIn. Executive type. Made more in a week than I did in a month and walked like the floor owed him something. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not the jealous type. I'm a former Marine, 6'3", built like I eat rebar for breakfast. Been through sand, salt, and some things that give most men nightmares. But I'm not made of stone. I saw the way she leaned in, hand on his arm, laughing like I hadn't heard in years. That giggle used to be mine. They say you feel it in your gut when you're being cheated on. That's true, but what they don't tell you is how cold your hands get. My drink didn't sweat as much as I did. By the time they disappeared from the ballroom, I had switched from gin to bourbon. Stronger, quieter, like me. I told myself maybe she went to the bathroom. Maybe he followed to pitch a business idea in the women's restroom, because that's just how enthusiastic synergy works in corporate America. Yeah, right. I waited 10 minutes, then 15. The music kept playing. People kept dancing like nothing was happening. I slipped out into the hallway. That's when I saw her heels, off, lying near room 312. I knocked once. No answer. Knocked again, and this time, the universe gave me a mercy. It didn't answer. Instead, it offered a janitor cart down the hall and a key card left in the unattended slot. Now, look, I'm not proud of what came next, but I've been trained to breach doors under worse circumstances. And buddy, this wasn't Fallujah, but it damn sure felt like a firefight when I opened that door. There she was, half covered by a blanket that didn't belong to me. And there he was, shirt off, tie hanging like he earned it. She didn't scream, didn't cry, just said, "I can explain." That's the worst part, when they hit you with that calm voice, like getting stabbed, then offered a Band-Aid. I didn't hit him. Thought about it, real hard. I was a good spanker, not in a fun way, in the discipline a grown man like his daddy failed to weigh. But I wasn't about to ruin my life over a guy with cufflinks that probably cost more than my mortgage. Instead, I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Hope she fakes it better for you." Then I left, and I didn't look back. On the elevator ride down, an old lady in a sequin dress asked me if I'd had a good night. I said, "Not yet, but I plan to." Because that's the thing about betrayal. It tries to break you. But me? I come from the core. You break me, I rebuild, stronger, louder, pissed off, and with a gym membership. When I got back home that night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even punch a wall. Instead, I opened my laptop, cracked my knuckles, and initiated what I now call Operation Recalibration.
because she needed her priorities recalibrated. And that slimeball from marketing, he needed a lesson in humility taught with precision and plausible deniability. Step 1. Information gathering. You'd be amazed what a man can do with an old contacts list, a burner phone, and a six-pack of vengeance. I knew people, some still in the military, some who owed me favors. One who now worked in IT security for a very large consulting firm, the same firm our smooth-talking friend had just been hired into. Within 48 hours, I had his resume, work email, wife's Instagram, and a tax lien from 2017. Turns out our boy was 2 payments behind on a BMW lease and had a nasty little habit of borrowing proprietary designs for his sales presentations. Oh, and his wife? Yeah, he forgot to mention her. Step 2. Precision deployment. I crafted a digital file that included screenshots of their hotel check-in timestamp, thank you LobbyCam, pictures of them entering the room, yes, full-on TMZ style, thank you again, favor number 3 from surveillance school, a polite, anonymous note with the subject, "Thought you deserved to know." I sent that package directly to his wife, his HR director, and, this is my favorite part, the email address he used to send motivational Monday emails to his sales team. Boom. Inbox thermonuclear. Carrie? She didn't even know I was behind it at first. She came home 2 days later acting confused, like we might still talk about it. I told her, sure, let's talk. But first, you might want to check your boyfriend's LinkedIn. Pretty sure it says looking for opportunities now. She stood there like a deer in a morality-themed truck's headlights. Then came the tears. The I made a mistake. The it didn't mean anything. I smiled. Steady, calm, dead inside, but in a cool action movie kind of way. Don't worry, I told her. You've still got plenty of opportunities, just not here. Step 3. Financial lockdown. Since we were married under my income, in my house, with my name on every deed, bill, and dog tag, you better believe I lawyered up faster than a squirrel at a nut auction. I froze joint accounts, transferred assets to a trust she couldn't touch, and filed for divorce with the kind of documentation only a Marine with a clipboard could compile. And the cherry on top? I left a note taped to her mirror the day she officially moved out. It read, "Cheating is easy. Rebuilding from nothing? That takes work. Best of luck." It was a Tuesday when I got the call. I was in the garage, tuning up the Harley. Classic therapy. Socket wrench in one hand, open bottle of Miller in the other, humming some Skynyrd when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Normally I don't answer those, but this time I did. Hello? Silence for a beat. Then, "You're the one who wrecked my husband's life." Her voice was sharp, calculated, not a question, a confirmation. I wiped my hands, leaned against the workbench. "That depends," I said. "Which part of it are you mad about? The affair, or the fact he lost his job after using company time to sample the buffet at the office Christmas party?" She didn't laugh. "My name is Madison, Madison Langley, and that bastard you humiliated is, or was, my husband." Bingo. She continued, fury bubbling just beneath the surface. "He had me fooled too. Took me 2 years and a private investigator to confirm my suspicions. You just happened to get there first, with style." I waited, sipping my beer. I could hear her pacing. "I want him to suffer more," she said flatly. "Not just jobless, ruined. I want him to know what betrayal feels like. You interested in that kind of partnership?" I chuckled. "Sounds like you're offering me a mission brief." "I'm offering you money." Now, that got my attention. "Go on." "I have access to everything. His accounts, passwords, the burner phones, the crypto wallets he thinks I don't know about. I've been gathering for months. But I don't want to do this alone. I want someone who understands what it feels like to be humiliated. Someone who doesn't blink when the knives come out. Lady, you had me at burner phones. We met the next day. Upscale bar, corner booth. She was the kind of woman who wore a vengeance dress like armor. Black, tight, and sharp enough to draw blood on eye contact. She slid a manila envelope across the table. I opened it and found banking data, travel logs, emails between him and my ex, graphic, disgusting, somehow involving a Christmas elf costume, and a handwritten list titled, His Weaknesses. She sipped her martini. You take the lead. I'll fund it. I don't want him jailed. I want him stripped. I want him to know what it's like to be laughed at in a boardroom, to lose status, to be invisible. I nodded slowly. You want justice. She leaned in. No, honey. I want revenge. And you're the best weapon I could find. And so began phase 2 of Operation Recalibration. A woman scorned, a Marine betrayed, and a walking bottle of cheap cologne who had no idea that both of his exes were now teaming up like a vengeance-fueled Ocean's 11. He thought he lost his job? That was just the beginning. It was just after midnight when I heard the knock. Not the timid kind, not the angry kind. It was the desperate kind. Rhythmic, hollow, like someone who'd rehearsed it all the way over. I opened the door. There she stood, Carrie. Puffy eyes, red nose, hair in the kind of loose braid that screams regret, holding her phone like a lifeline and crying like it was her first time feeling pain. Please, she said, voice cracking. I made a mistake. I let her stand there. You made a choice, I said coldly. That wasn't a mistake. You just didn't like the outcome. I didn't mean for any of this, she whimpered. It got out of control. I thought he loved me, and then he left me. He blocked my number. He told his wife I was harassing him. Now I'm a homewrecker and an idiot. And I lost you. I stared at her, long enough to make her uncomfortable. Then I stepped aside and let her in. Not because I forgave her, because I finally understood something. She was weak, and weakness is leverage. And I still had a job to finish. She sat on the couch like a teenager waiting for a punishment. I tossed her a tissue box and said, So, what exactly are you hoping for, Carrie? I don't know. Maybe a second chance? I'll do anything. I swear, I'll make it up to you. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. Anything? She nodded. Good, because there is something. Her eyes lit up. Hope. Pathetic. You're going to do something brave, I said. She blinked. Okay. You're going to walk into the nearest police station and file a report against him. A pause. Report what? That he forced you, that he coerced you, that he used your position, your vulnerability, and your marriage to manipulate you into sex. Her jaw dropped. What? That's not what happened. It was my choice. No, it wasn't your choice. Because he knew you were married. He knew you were vulnerable. He used you like a playground slide and walked off whistling. But that's not rape. Legally, maybe not. But emotionally, spiritually, you feel violated, don't you? You feel humiliated? Used? Her lip trembled. Yes, then call it what it is, and make him pay for it. She hesitated. Carrie, You came here begging for forgiveness, but forgiveness doesn't come free. You want to clean your soul? Then start by burning the devil who dragged you into the pit." Her breathing got shallow. I could see the panic wrestling with guilt behind her eyes. Then she nodded. "I'll do it." The next morning, she filed the report. Said she was manipulated. Said he promised love. Said he pressured her. Said she felt powerless. She sobbed so hard during the interview, the female detective asked if she needed an advocate. She nodded again, played the part of the victim beautifully. And just like that, the Golden Boy executive became a suspect. Internal investigations reopened. His already crippled job prospects shattered. And his wife, Madison, she danced when I called her. "Nice move," she purred. "He's lawyered up. I hope he has a mattress in that Porsche, because that's the only thing he's sleeping in now." Carrie came back to my house that night, expecting gratitude. But I had one final message for her. "You did good," I said. She smiled softly. "Does that mean we're okay?" Laughed. "Oh, sweetheart, you were a tool, a pawn, and you played your part. But this isn't a love story. This is war. And in war, you don't bring traitors back into the bunker." I opened the door. She stared. "You said you'd forgive me?" "No, I said you could earn my respect. And you almost did. But forgiveness? That's for saints. And I'm a goddamn Marine." It didn't take long for the dominoes to reach him. The police investigation, the HR committee review, the clients ghosting his calls, the lawyer bills piling up, the whispers in the hallways, the way Madison never raised her voice, just looked at him like something sticky on her shoe. And then came the final blow. A mysterious envelope left on his doorstep. Inside, a copy of Carrie's report, a photo of him with my wife taken from inside the room, a handwritten note that said, "Actions have consequences. Semper Fi." He lost it, full tilt, foam at the mouth type of rage. He tore through his garage like a feral animal, knocked over his workbench, and grabbed the first thing his trembling hands could find, an aluminum baseball bat. Easton, 32-inch, still had his kid's initials on the handle. He slammed it into the wall twice before stomping toward his car, screaming, "I'm gonna kill that son of a bitch!" He didn't knock. He didn't ring the doorbell. He kicked the damn thing in. I was in the backyard, doing pull-ups off the old metal frame my kids used to swing from, wearing boots, gym shorts, and a shirt that said, "Pain is weakness leaving the body." When I turned and saw him there, red-faced, spitting, bat in hand, I didn't flinch. "You!" he roared. I dropped from the bar, calm, steady, focused. "Took you long enough," I said. He charged, swinging the bat like a man who's never been in a real fight, arms flailing, stance wide open. I sidestepped, caught his wrist mid-swing, twisted it behind his back, and kicked the back of his knees. He collapsed like a folding chair. The bat hit the ground. I picked it up, looked down at him. "You done?" "You ruined my life!" he screamed from the grass. "No," I said, crouching beside him. "You did. I just signed the paperwork." He lunged, tried to tackle me. Big mistake. I clotheslined him mid-motion, planted him in the dirt, and dropped a knee gently but firmly on his ribs. Not enough to break them, just enough for him to feel the pressure of losing. "Let me explain something to you," I whispered. "You didn't just sleep with my wife. You disrespected a man who fought for his country, who built everything with his own 2 hands. You came into my house and pissed on the rug, so don't whine when the floor caves in under you." He gasped. "You're crazy!" "No," I said, standing up. "I'm just disciplined. And you? You're just stupid." He wheezed on the grass, groaning, reaching for his side like something cracked. I tossed the bat next to him. "You brought a boy's weapon to a man's war." The police showed up 10 minutes later. Carrie must have heard the shouting and called 911. Old habits die hard. They asked if I wanted to press charges. I said no. Let him limp away. Let him feel humiliated. Let him explain to the cops why he's bleeding and broken outside a man's house he shouldn't have been in the first place. But before they hauled him off, I leaned down one last time and whispered, "Next time you think about swinging at a Marine, make sure your insurance covers dignity. Because you just lost the last of yours." It's amazing how much you can rebuild once you burn all the rot to the ground. After the beatdown incident, and trust me, word spread fast, things quieted down. The traitor tucked tail and fled town, limping into some HR consulting job in Nevada, probably teaching others how not to get caught pants down with someone else's wife. As for Carrie, she ghosted. Moved into some sad apartment, joined a church book club, started posting inspirational quotes about growth after shame, like a redemption arc was just one Pinterest board away. Did I care? No. Because while they were licking their wounds, I was cashing a check. See, Madison Langley, former wife of my former wife's lover, wasn't just angry, she was loaded. Family money, real estate, inherited trust funds, and offshore accounts kinda loaded. She wired me a bonus after everything was said and done. Called it a donation to your peace of mind. It was 6 figures, with a comma in the right place and enough zeros to finally make my dream a reality. So I made the call. "Hey Mitch," I said, "you still selling that old mechanic shop over on Cypress Lane?" He laughed. "Only to someone stupid or sentimental. I'm both." 2 weeks later, the papers were signed. Not just for the shop, but for the divorce. Carrie and I met one final time in the courtroom. She tried to make eye contact. I wore mirrored sunglasses. We didn't speak. She signed the papers with a shaky hand. I signed with a steady one. And just like that, 12 years ended with the scratch of a pen and the click of a door. I walked out lighter. Not because I lost a wife. Hell, she'd been gone long before the affair. But because I gained something else. Clarity. I opened the doors to the shop 3 weeks later. It was dusty, rusted, paint peeling like sunburnt skin. The walls smelled like old oil and freedom. I cleaned it up with the same care I used to clean my M16 in the desert, slow, methodical, and with quiet reverence. Hung a flag on the back wall, screwed in a plaque above the front window. Semper Fi Classics, Restoration, Redemption, Real Steel. First build, a '69 Mustang Fastback, cherry red, needed a full engine rebuild, new transmission, and a hell of a lot of love. Second one was a '72 Dodge Charger, found it rotten in a barn, just like me once. Every bolt I turned, every carburetor I cleaned, every fender I buffed, I felt like I was piecing myself back together.
I hired a couple of local kids to help. One's dad was deployed, the other dropped out of college. Good with their hands, hungry for guidance. We played old-school rock, drank black coffee from steel mugs, and worked sun-up to sundown. Sometimes the silence between wrench clicks was better than therapy. I didn't need validation, didn't need to find myself. I just needed purpose again. And in that garage, with my boots on the concrete, the smell of gasoline in the air, and V8 thunder echoing through the walls, I finally had it.
It was a Tuesday. Always is, for some reason. I was under the hood of a beautiful 1968 Camaro SS, sleeves rolled up, Freebird playing low from the Bluetooth speaker, when my phone buzzed on the workbench. Unknown number. Again. I wiped my hands, already suspicious. Hello? A clipped, polished voice came through the line. Mr. Carson? Speaking. This is Alan Brewster, partner at Brewster & Yates Law. I was hoping to schedule a meeting. It's about a legal matter that, we believe, involves you. It's important. I didn't say anything at first. Is this some kind of scam? No, sir. I assure you this is real. We represent a client connected to, well, to a series of recent personal and professional setbacks involving a man named Thomas Langley. I believe you're familiar with him. Ah, that guy. Yeah, I know the rat. There are some legal questions that have arisen concerning your conduct during a, let's call it, a period of conflict. We'd like to discuss this with you formally, privately. I'll be in your town tomorrow. Would you be willing to meet? I paused. Yeah, why not? Let's dance. We met at a steakhouse, neutral ground, private booth. He was just as slick as his voice. Cufflinks, silk tie, the kind of man who thinks smiling is a weakness. He ordered sparkling water with lime and didn't touch his steak. Mr. Carson, he began, sliding a file onto the table, let me be blunt. My client and one of my junior associates both believe that you may have engaged in what we could consider coercive retribution, a form of vigilante harassment. I raised an eyebrow. That a legal term or something out of a comic book? He didn't laugh. You pressured your ex-wife into filing a police report, which, by our investigation, may have exaggerated certain aspects of the relationship with Mr. Langley. There was surveillance footage, a bat, a beating, several digital footprints traced back to anonymous messages that, interestingly, match patterns from your known email accounts and devices. I smiled. You've been busy. He tapped the file. We believe there's a case for emotional distress, defamation, potential perjury, depending on how deep law enforcement decides to dig. And let me guess, I said, leaning back in my seat. This little visit is to give me a friendly option before things go legal. He smiled for the first time. Yes, very good. The offer is simple. Compensation. A civil settlement to the tune of $250,000. You pay, we walk away. No press, no court. I laughed. Loud enough that people turned. I see you didn't do all your homework, counselor. His smirk faltered. I leaned in, voice low, steady, like a rifle bolt locking into place. You're sitting across from a man who's been shot at in 2 countries, slept in sand for weeks, watched good men die, and doesn't flinch when someone swings a bat at his head. And you think I'm going to hand over $250,000 because your client's pride is bruised and his reputation smells like dumpster juice? He opened his mouth. I held up a finger. No, you listen now. That police report, filed by a grown woman of her own will. That beatdown, on my property, after your client broke in with a weapon. And the emails? Keep chasing ghosts. Just make sure your billable hours are worth it. I reached into my coat pocket and dropped a USB drive onto the table. "What's that?" "Insurance," I said. "Footage from a camera your client didn't know about. The one that caught him making threats, swinging the bat first, screaming he'd kill me. That's what the cops saw. That's why they didn't arrest me. But hey, feel free to subpoena me. I'll bring popcorn to the courtroom." Brewster looked pale now. I stood, threw a 50 on the table, and turned to leave. "Oh," I said, glancing back. "Tell your client if he wants to try round 2, he better bring more than a lawyer and a bruised ego. I've still got some fight left in me, and this time, I'll aim lower." 6 months passed. The shop? It was thriving. Word had spread, not just local, statewide. That Marine with the hands of a surgeon and the patience of a monk was what some blogger called me after I brought a rotten Chevelle back from the dead. Didn't matter what rolled in. Cudas, GTOs, old Firebirds, even a Cherry 55 T-Bird with a carb that coughed like a smoker. I gave each one the same thing I gave my men overseas: respect, structure, and a hell of a lot of elbow grease. We upgraded the shop. Epoxy floors, new hydraulic lifts, an office with an actual coffee machine instead of the ex-wife's busted Keurig. My 2 apprentices were getting good. One of them rebuilt a carb faster than I could say torque wrench. I started trusting them with solo jobs while I focused on big-ticket projects, full frame-offs, showroom restorations. Life wasn't just stable. It was quiet. And then she arrived. It was a Wednesday. Always is for some reason. I was under a 70 Dodge Dart, tightening a sway bar, when I heard her before I saw her. That engine. It wasn't loud. It purred, smooth, deep, like a blues singer whispering through a muffler. I slid out from under the Dodge just in time to see her roll in. A 1967 Impala SS. Gunmetal gray, white racing stripes, polished chrome so clean it reflected sunlight like a blade. Original everything, except the wheels, which had been swapped for 17-inch chrome American racing torque thrusts. Then she stepped out, and I forgot how to blink. Long legs and jeans that meant business, brown leather boots that had seen things, a tank top under a leather jacket, sunglasses resting in her hair, and a look in her eyes like she'd driven through hell and didn't even get a scratch. She glanced at the shop sign, then at me. "You the Marine?" "Guilty," I said, wiping my hands on a rag that was somehow dirtier than my soul. "You the one who brought that '69 Charger back from the dead?" "I am." She smiled. Just a little. Enough to make a grown man forget the alphabet. "My Impala's got some ghosts. Think you can help?" I walked over, circled the car like a priest checking for demons. 67 SS, 396 big block? She raised an eyebrow. Good ear. "Original trim, but your exhaust tips are cut custom. Someone did this with love." That someone was my father, before he passed. "She's been sitting too long. I want her alive again." I looked her in the eyes. Calm, focused. That old Marine part of me kicking in. "She's in the right place," I said. "And what about me?" she asked, only half joking. I smiled. "We'll see." She left the car, gave me her number. Name was Elena. Didn't ask if I was single. Didn't volunteer if she was. Didn't feel the need to flirt. Because her presence wasn't a question. It was a statement. That night, I sat in my office with a whiskey and a cigar, staring at that Impala. The shop lights reflected off the hood like moonlight on still water. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel haunted by my past. I felt curious about my future.